Hello everyone, welcome back to Leicester Fan TV. My name is Josh. Coming up on today's show, I'm going to be reviewing the game which has just finished between Leicester City and Liverpool at the King Power Stadium. You can follow my personal YouTube channel, which is Sportser. All my social media links will be in the description down below. If you are watching this on our Leicester Fan TV YouTube channel, make sure you do subscribe. But let's get into today's show. So it has just finished at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City 0. Liverpool 4, a very disappointing result for Leicester against a very good Liverpool side in today's game at the King Power Stadium, and Liverpool extended the title race by another 3 points. They're into the 50-point mark with 52 points compared to Leicester's 39. It's going to be very difficult for either Leicester or Manchester City to catch Liverpool now, and it's a massive 3 points for Liverpool as they extend their title lead. But getting on to the game itself, it was a very poor performance by Leicester at the King Power Stadium. So they obviously coming off that 3-1 loss to Manchester City last night at the Etihad. We needed to bounce back, and to be honest, losing 4-0 was a really bad way to bounce back, to be honest, and we've gone even further down, and it's just going to be an uphill task to bounce back from these two defeats, to be honest, against two very good sides in Manchester City and Liverpool, and in particular Liverpool at home. They tore us to shreds at the King Power in both halves, and to be perfectly honest, they were well-deserved winners in today's game. But talking about Leicester in particular, it was a very poor start by Leicester. Obviously, the atmosphere was good in the first 5 or so minutes after the light show. What Brendan Rodgers hoped for, good atmosphere, we gave that, and the players really couldn't bounce off that. And Liverpool had a couple of big opportunities early on in the game. Obviously, through our mistakes as well, in particular, with the distribution from Casper was very poor today. That gave Liverpool a couple of big chances early on. And overall, it was just an uphill task for the first whistle, and we really struggled to get a grip on the game throughout. The most disappointing thing for me in today's game was the lack of effort which Leicester showed. We really looked like we couldn't be bothered to get hold of the ball, really attack Liverpool, and to be honest, we soaked up a lot of pressure, and as soon as we got the ball, we gave it straight back to Liverpool, which really put a lot of pressure on Leicester, especially in the second half. And overall, we just looked like we really couldn't be bothered to play the game, to be honest. I know it's on Boxing Day, but still, we should have been up for more of a fight like Liverpool were. Obviously, Liverpool win the Club World Cup. They came to the King Power, wanted all 3 points, and they really showed that. So fair play to Liverpool, but Leicester did make it fairly easy for Liverpool to get all 3 points today. So Brendan made one change from the side, which started in that defeat to Manchester City at the Etihad. Dennis Pratt coming in for Jose Perez. Obviously, Brendan started James Maddison out wide, which was a stupid decision, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, Maddison isn't suited that wide. He's not the best at tracking back, helping out the fullback, and that really showed in the first half, especially with Trent Alexander-Arnold giving a lot of room on Chilwell's side, and that really contributed to a lot of Liverpool's goals in both halves in particular. I think if Brendan started Maddison in the number 10 role behind Vardy, it would have suited him better, and we could have done better. I thought we should have gone with the same team which started against Man City. Even though we played poor against that, I thought that would have suited us much more better with Maddison in that cam role, and he could really kind of control the game and maybe give a few chances to Vardy, but that really didn't happen with Maddison out wide, and it was a very poor performance from James Maddison in the end. So the first goal came just after the 30th minute mark, with Roberto Firmino opening the scoring for Liverpool with a good header, to be honest, into the bottom corner. No chance of Schmeichel really, but it came on Ben Chilwell's side once again, and to be honest, I've got to put the blame on Ben Chilwell for this goal. He should have stepped up like the two centre-backs did, stayed in line, and they would have been offside. But Chilwell went with the runners, nearly got the ball, but obviously Roberto Firmino was there. Salah was queuing up at the far post as well, and Liverpool probably would have scored even if Chilwell got a little bit of a flick on it, although Chilwell, I don't know what's going on with him at the moment. Obviously had a poor game against Manchester City last time out, and then he had another poor game today against Liverpool. And does Christian Fuchs start against West Ham? Let me know in the comment section down below. But getting into the second half, we started off very poorly once again. Liverpool had a couple of big chances here and there. Good save by Casper Schmeichel hitting the bar. I don't know how that didn't go in, to be perfectly honest. But Leicester kind of grew into the game a little bit. We had a couple of chances. Jamie Vardy won a foul. I know it sounds stupid, but that's probably the best chance we got in the whole game, to be perfectly honest. But we started to knock on the door a little bit more. The crowd got behind the players, but then Trent Alexander-Arnold with a cross in, it hit Cagliostoni's hand, and the referee gives a penalty. To be honest, it probably was a penalty in this day and age, and it was stupid, to be honest. Obviously, with Soon-Chu, it just hits his hand. He couldn't really do too much with it. So, but yeah, Liverpool got the penalty, and James Miller converted to give it 2-0 to Liverpool, and that really put the game outside for Leicester. And another 2 goals in 4 minutes wrapped up the game for Liverpool. Roberto Firmino getting another, and Trent Alexander-Arnold scoring to make it 4-0 to Liverpool. And that really put the game beyond doubt for Leicester, and probably it was deserved. Liverpool were very good tonight at the King Power Stadium. Obviously, I'm probably saying how bad Leicester played, but fair play to Liverpool. They were brilliant tonight at the King Power Stadium. They could have won by more, so fair play to them, but overall, it was a very poor performance by Leicester. So now going on to my player ratings, this is where I rate each player's performance out of 10 from the side which started today against Liverpool. To start off in goal with Kasper Schmeichel, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I thought it made some big crucial saves here and there, but overall, obviously, 4 past him, you can't really give him any more than a 6 in my opinion. His distribution was dodgy as well at some points as well, but Kasper made a couple of big saves to keep Leicester in it, in particular in the second half before Liverpool made it too. That was a brilliant save by him. So overall, Kasper could improve, but it wasn't the worst of performances from Kasper Schmeichel, and he doesn't need to take the blame for this defeat. But now moving straight into the back four. To start off at right back with Ricardo Pereira, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought Ricardo had a decent game today at the King Power Stadium. Probably one of the best players on the pitch today with a Leicester perspective. I thought he showed real effort and desire to trying to get Leicester on the ball, trying to make something happen. And to be honest, with the teammates around him, that really wasn't possible. But I thought defensively, Ricardo was fairly strong. Going forward, he offers a couple of good moments here and there, especially in the second half before Liverpool made it 2-0 when Leicester were playing a little bit better. Ricardo was at the heart of that. So 7 out of 10 for Ricardo. Fair play to him for his effort today. The two centre-backs starting off at the right one with Kagawa Soyuncu. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. It wasn't the best of performances from Kagawa Soyuncu today, but to be honest, he couldn't really do too much with some of the Liverpool goals today. So I thought he had a solid game, offered a few threats going forward as well towards the end when he went forward on a bit of a Harry Maguire one. So yeah, fair play for Soyuncu for having a good go, but to be honest, he couldn't really do too much about the Liverpool goals. And we were really outclassed by Liverpool today, so 6 out of 10 for Soyuncu. Moving to the other centre-back with Johnny Evans, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10 as well. Thought it wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst of Johnny Evans' games though in his Leicester career. So 6 out of 10, nothing really to say about Johnny Evans. Did what he needed to do, couldn't really do too much about the Liverpool goals. Didn't do anything outstanding, but didn't do anything particularly wrong. Made a couple of silly mistakes here and there, but nothing too costly. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for Johnny Evans. And now moving into left back with Ben Chilwell. It's probably going to sound harsh, but I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. I thought Ben Chilwell was absolutely shocking today, to be honest. Chilwell's been good glimpses so far this season, had a couple of really good games, but today really just didn't cut it in Chile at left back. I know he's young, but with the Manchester City game and now this, I thought he maybe would have learned against Manchester City, but position-wise, he really didn't cut it today, in my opinion. Obviously, a lot of goals did come from his side. I don't want to put the blame too much on Ben Chilwell, but I thought Ben Chilwell had a really poor game, so I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. But now moving straight into midfield, so starting off with Wilfred and Didi, I'm going to give Wilf a 6 out of 10 for today's game. I thought it was a pretty poor performance by Wilfred and Didi, but he couldn't really do too much. Obviously, with Liverpool's front through the likes of Mane, Salah and Firmino, it's very hard to stop them. And with the midfield of Wijnaldum and the likes of Jordan Henderson and Naby Keita, it's very hard to stop them. I thought Wilf had a decent game, made a couple of sloppy mistakes here and there, but he got put in some dangerous moments with his trying to pass out from the back, which caused Leicester a lot of problems. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for Wilf, not the best, but not the worst of performances from the Nigerian international. Moving alongside him with Youri Tielemans, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. I thought the Belgium had a very poor game today at the King Power Stadium. Really couldn't get hold of the ball. He's been poor for a lot of the season, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, he came in last season. We were very excited. On loan, obviously, he was very good, but he really hasn't cut it so far this season. It's going to be interesting to see how Youri can progress. Maybe he'll get better over time, but yeah, poor performance from Wilfred stuff. So 5 out of 10. The other midfielder with Dennis Praet, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I thought he showed a lot of effort in today's game. At points, he was the highest man pressing, even over Jamie Vardy. So fair play for Dennis Praet. He got hold of the ball a couple of times, but he couldn't really put anything together. So 6 out of 10 for Dennis Praet, but the effort was there, which is his most important thing from Dennis Praet. If you had all Dennis Praet's playing, we probably could have done a little bit better. So yeah, fair play for Dennis Praet for having a good performance today at the King Power. Now James Maddison, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. I know he was playing out wide, not in his natural position, but he tried to come into that number 10 role. And when he was there, he really couldn't do anything. It was probably a big off day for the English international. Obviously, in that left mid position, he really didn't help Ben Chilwell as he had to mark Alexander-Arnold, who obviously had a cracking game on that right-hand side. But yeah, it's very difficult to mark him. But I thought Maddison had a poor game, so 5 out of 10 for him. And the other winger with Harvey Barnes, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. I thought Harvey Barnes had a very poor game once again today. Just really didn't cut it. Obviously, Robertson on the side, it's very difficult to beat him at pace, but Barnes really didn't show anything. No passion, really. Didn't really get back too much to help Ricardo. And overall, it's just a shocking game from Leicester today. So, Harvey Barnes, 5 out of 10 for him. And I'm finally up front with Jamie Vardy. He really didn't have much to do, so I guess 6 out of 10 for Jamie Vardy. Could have done a little bit more pressing rise, but I can't really give him any high. He literally had nothing to do. He had a couple of chances to run at the Liverpool defence. He literally got no service. I'd be surprised if he got more than 10 touches in today's game. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for Jamie Vardy up front. But that's it for the Leicester versus Liverpool match review. A big thanks for having me on Leicester Fan TV for the first time today, Phil. Obviously, it's not the best of videos to start off with a 4-0 defeat to Liverpool. Hopefully things can improve going into the future games, in particular with the game on Saturday where we take on West Ham. But yeah, if you are watching this on our YouTube channel today, make sure you do subscribe to Leicester Fan TV. You can follow all my social media links, my YouTube channel, all of them will be in the description down below, guys. But that is the Leicester versus Liverpool match review. Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV today. I've been Josh, All Sports, and I'll see you guys next time.